In Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 6:30.
I never would have imagined the party of John McCain would turn its back on the veterans like this administration has.
First at 6:30, lawmakers in Salem are bracing for the impact of huge job cuts at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Good evening and thanks for joining us for NBC 16 News at 6:30. I'm Alan Matthews.
And I'm Gold Meadows. Oregon lawmakers today reacting to the announcement that close to 80,000 jobs could be cut from Veteran Affairs offices nationally.
Now, news of the cuts came in a leadership memo to the agency. The cuts would bring the VA back to pre-pandemic employee levels.
The Biden administration expanded some VA programs and added more than 80,000 jobs.
Veterans Affairs is Oregon's second largest federal employer with just under 6,400 jobs, and VA advocates say layoffs from that federal agency could significantly slow down benefits for veterans locally. Christina Giardinelli with our Portland sister station has the story.
Job cuts to the Federal Office of Veterans Affairs could hit Oregon hard. The latest tally shows the state has a total of 6,378 VA jobs. Many of those are in rural areas with salaries much higher than the local average. Oregon Representative Paul Evans, a Democrat from Monmouth, says what is even more concerning than layoffs are the impacts local veterans could face.
I have young men and women that I know that were permanently harmed because of their service. I personally was involved in missions where people didn't come back. Cuts in 80,000 people from their workforce will devastate the benefit side, the healthcare side, and even the cemetery.
The layoffs, announced as part of Trump administration's efforts to scale back the federal government's spending, have yet to take place, and it's unknown how many jobs in Oregon could be impacted. Mark Ronning is a veteran and managing attorney for Northwest Veterans Law. He says getting VA benefits is already a lengthy process. Reducing workforce could make the wait even longer.
If the VA had the personnel that were well trained to get the decisions right, to say, yes, you do suffer from this disability, and yes, Congress does authorize benefits for that disability, then we would be out of a job, because we only do appeals when the decision gets wrong, when the benefits that Congress has provided are denied by the VA. And that can take, sadly, an appeal can take 1 to 2 years at the local level.
Ronning says if the appeal has to go to D.C., that can take many more years still. I'm Christina Giardinelli reporting.
Now, Republicans in the Oregon House and Senate declined to comment on this matter. VA Secretary Doug Collins says the move is an effort to make the agency work better for veterans.
A Roseburg veteran is raising concern on what the proposed cuts might mean for future VA health care. The department says the cuts consist of non-mission critical positions. Those positions include many who have served less than 2 years in a role at the VA. Some veterans are beginning to protest the cuts with concerns that this will impact their future health care.
How is that going to affect us? How is that going to affect our mental health care when we need to see a psychiatrist or psychologist? How is that going to affect our wait times? You know, a lot of us need consistent, ongoing care. How is it going to affect that? There's only so much you can cut before it starts affecting the people you're trying to help.
Despite these concerns, the VA says that the cuts will allow funding to be funneled towards benefits and other health care being provided at VA hospitals. The department also says that they expect to announce more changes, optimizing its contracting operations in the future. Our newsroom reached out to the Roseburg VA to learn more about the cuts made locally and have not heard back. Businesses across different industries expect some impacts from that short-lived pain implied by President Trump due to the tariffs. The CEO of a popular leather brand tells us he hopes it's short enough that customers don't notice any of the changes they'll have to make. At the heart of Will Leather Goods operations is a passion to give the best service to its customers. As new tariffs from President Donald Trump roll out for Canada, China, and Mexico, with more on the horizon come April, the company's founder says impacts to those customers will be a last resort.
We as a company are going to absorb these tariffs. We're going to absorb this loss so that our customers can continue to feel confident in our company.
This year will mark 10 years for the store, operating out of an authentic early 1900s boxcar at 5th Street Public Market in Eugene. But the business has been around coast to coast for 4 decades. It manufactures products for its brick-and-mortar stores and online, produces Nike accessories, and supplies wholesale products to retail stores. Adler tells us he anticipates most industries, including supermarkets and auto dealers, will be hit just as hard as leather retailers, but he's determined to hold off on price hikes.
We feel confident to hold for a couple months, but it is a trying predicament because we don't work on huge margins. We're not, making something for $1 and selling it for $10. So if we have to absorb raw materials coming in from Canada, raw materials coming in from Mexico, we buy a lot of leather in Mexico, ultimately we are going to have to raise the prices.
Still, Adler leans on his faith in the customer and the quality of their products if change must happen.
With changes that are occurring right now and ups and downs, as a retailer for 40 years, I'm not so disturbed. I know it will become a positive point of view, but I want my customers to know we're behind them. We're going to continue to make great product with great quality.
The entrepreneurial gene runs in the family, with Adler's daughter operating the Lovely Cafe in Springfield, which just expanded, a son in real estate in Eugene, and another son who's an acupuncturist. Adler says, like him, his children plan to take care of customers as much as and for as long as they can without moving price points.
She's also of the same school. Take care of your customer. Make sure that they're feeling a great experience when they come into her shop. As an entrepreneur, nothing is for certain. I'm still concerned about making the payroll for our company and making sure that people are healthy that work for our company. Everybody is looking at more day to day.
And just as he worked hard year after year to become a luxury brand among leather retailers, Adler says he'll keep doing the work through these uncertain times to ensure minimal impacts to his business.
Now, with Trump's tariffs targeting a trade war, financial experts say now is the time to revisit your budget and savings plan. On Point, a financial institution focused on education, says households should prioritize essentials like housing, utilities, and food while cutting back on non-essentials. On Point recommends setting aside even small amounts in savings to prepare for financial emergencies. Using credit wisely is also crucial, paying off balances when possible and exploring lower interest options like home equity lines or personal loans.
So many times we see people that don't have a budget, and I think that is the number one thing to do right away when costs are going up, or even when costs are not going up. Create a budget, know where your dollar is going every day.
The credit union, founded by school teachers, says their mission is to equip individuals with the tools needed to navigate financial challenges. On Point says the economy moves in cycles, and while no one can predict a recession, smart budgeting and saving could now help ease financial uncertainty in the future.